Don't sweat the small stuff. My mom's just brutally honest. You'll get used to it. Even when I'm hurt by his mother's harsh words, Alec just brushes it off. I love him, but it makes me wonder if marrying him is the right choice. My name is Emmy. I'm a 31-year-old average office worker. I've been dating Alec for 6 months, and we've recently decided to tie the knot. Deciding to get married after only half a year of dating felt a bit rushed. We both still live with our parents and have only been going on weekly dates. Alec has visited my house a few times, but I've never been to his. But I'm already 31, and Alec is 36. At our age, dating naturally leads to talks about marriage. Alec is an only child, but he suggested we get our own place instead of living with his parents. He even said he saved up a down payment. He loves kids and promised to help out with housework and childcare. I have no complaints about Alec. I love him. I was on cloud 9 at that moment, never imagining what would happen at our wedding ceremony. Meeting Alec's parents for the first time was during our pre-wedding visit. I assumed they'd be nice and welcoming, and at first, there were no issues. But then, as we sat down on the living room sofa, his mother blurted out, "You're ugly." What? I was taken aback. "You have buck teeth, it's unattractive. I couldn't see it before because of the backlight, but it's quite noticeable. Didn't you get braces as a kid, or is your family too poor?" I was stunned by her rapid-fire insults. "Well, I don't think it's that bad," I managed to say, holding back my real thoughts. I'd never been self-conscious about my teeth before. "No, you look like a monkey. Why did Alec choose someone so ugly? His father has better taste." Maybe Alec finds the ugly woman exotic because he's used to beautiful women like me. Alec's mother continued to belittle me. She wore heavy makeup, and sure, she was attractive, but her makeup was so thick, it looked tacky. "There aren't many beauties like Mom. I take after Dad, so Emmy is a good match for me," Alec said, failing to defend me. "Emmy, you should learn some makeup tips from my wife. Maybe you'll look a bit better," Alec's dad added, sounding polite, but still rude. I learned that Alec's mother had won a local beauty pageant, a small-town beauty contest. Why does this family have such a big attitude over something so trivial? And why isn't Alec standing up for me? I was at a loss for words in the face of such rudeness. Then Alec's mother smugly said, "Feeling bad. This is why I don't like women. They get moody so easily. I'm just an honest person. If someone said the same to me, I wouldn't care." I wanted to say, "You're a woman too," but I held my tongue. Alec seemed unfazed. His dad added, "My wife has always been like this. She's straightforward, so we rarely have nasty fights. Emmy, you're lucky to have such an honest mother-in-law." Are you kidding me? I thought, but didn't say anything. I had no idea Alec's parents would be this intense. I barely remember how we wrapped up that visit. After the awkward visit, Alec offered to drive me to the station. On the way, I decided to ask him about what had been bothering me. "Do you think I have buck teeth?" "I don't mind them," he replied. "Good, but why did your mom call me monkey-like?" "She's just honest, isn't she?" I wasn't satisfied with Alec's answer, but I moved on to my next question. "What did you mean by settling for me?" This had been bothering me too. "It means we're a good match." Wait, what? So he's saying I'm not as beautiful as his mother. Not only was he not defending me, but he was also being downright rude. I wanted him to compliment me, even if it was a lie. Should I reconsider this marriage? I was starting to have doubt. I had my reasons for wanting to move out and get married. My brother Justin was already married and living at home. We have a large house in the suburbs with plenty of room. I had planned to move out when Justin got married, but we all get along so well, and his wife Beatrix is so friendly that I've stayed put. But I knew it was time to move on. When I got home, Justin had just returned from work. I asked him the same question. "Do you think I have buck teeth?" "What? No, never noticed." "Right? Did someone say something? You were visiting Alec's family today, right?" "No, just wondering." I dodged, impressed by his intuition. A warning bell was ringing in my mind, telling me to reconsider the marriage. but I had come this far. We'd be fine as long as his parents stayed out of our lives, I told myself. Then came the wedding day. Throughout the preparations, my mother-in-law kept criticizing me. I decided to ignore her. I had a lot to do, and we rarely saw each other. If we could just get through the wedding, we'd be married. We'd be happy. Or so I thought. Unfortunately, an incident occurred. It happened while my boss was giving a speech, praising me to the skies. I was both pleased and embarrassed. I looked up to see how my family was reacting and caught my mother-in-law's eye. She didn't seem to find it interesting that I was being praised and had a surprisingly hateful look on her face. She looked furious, probably from too much wine. Empty wine bottles littered the table. Mother-in-law slowly stood up. She stood up and walked toward the MC, grabbing the microphone. The host was confused, and I couldn't help but be confused too. Emmy is in the sun at work. Listen, everyone! She shouted, interrupting my boss. It was incredibly rude. Mother-in-law continues, without worrying. Enough! I know who this boss is, but you're praising Emmy way too much. She can't be that great. She's over 30 and still living at home, so she must be useless at housework. She's a defective woman. Even with makeup, she's ugly. The room fell silent. My boss stood frozen, still holding the mic. Hey, what are you doing? Stop it! My boss was speaking, I shouted, my voice echoing in the room. My mother-in-law looked dangerously drunk. I'm just telling everyone the truth. I'm exposing you for what you are. This isn't the time or place for that. It doesn't matter. Women should speak their minds too. If something's wrong, it's wrong. Your boss didn't praise you that much either. Gender doesn't matter here. We're talking about interrupting a speech. As I argued, I realized something. Earlier, when Alec's boss gave a speech, he mostly talked about the company and barely praised Alec. That must have upset her, and the alcohol fueled her emotions. Enough! A daughter-in-law should obey her mother-in-law. See how cheeky she is? She's not as great as everyone says. But since we've already had the wedding, I guess I'll have to discipline her. Please be kind to my buck-toothed, ugly daughter-in-law. With that, she sat down and started drinking again as if nothing had happened. My father-in-law pretended not to notice, and Alec, sitting next to me, was silent. He even started eating the untouched food. Unbelievable. The guests were still confused, and the MC looked at me for guidance. Should we continue the ceremony? The wedding is still in its early stages. I was furious at my mother-in-law's outburst, but I didn't want to ruin the wedding. I hesitated, but nodded. Just as the MC was about to speak, Justin stood up. Is that all you have to say? Beatrix tried to pull him back, but he pushed her hand away. She gave up and mouthed, "Sorry, can't help it," to me. My parents didn't seem to want to stop Justin. They looked ready to confront my mother-in-law themselves. The ceremony was already off the rails. "What did you say?" my mother-in-law asked. Justin repeated his words, his voice low and menacing. "Is that all you have to say?" Justin is nearly 7 feet tall and has a good build from playing rugby in school. He was furious, and it was intimidating. "You insult my sister in front of our family and relatives. You better be prepared." Alex, sitting next to me, jumped out of his seat. He stopped eating his steak and whispered to me, "Hey, Emmy, can you stop your brother-in-law? Is he trying to ruin our wedding?" "What? Your mom already ruined it." "She just spoke her mind. There was no problem. Your brother is threatening her." "Are you serious? The only problem here is her. If she hadn't insulted me, my brother wouldn't be angry. Why should I stop him when you didn't stop her?" I was so frustrated with Alex's response that I stopped engaging with him. Let it be. I shook my head at the MC, who was looking at me for guidance. "No, I'm just being honest. I just say what I think." My mother-in-law tried to defend herself, visibly intimidated by Justin. "You think that's an excuse? Can an adult distinguish between when it's appropriate and inappropriate to speak?" "It was just a joke, to lighten the mood. Don't take it so seriously. It's not something to get angry about." It absolutely is! This is a wedding! It's not just our family here! There are many people who care about Emmy! You, who are supposed to become her mother-in-law, just insulted her in front of everyone! You basically announced you're going to make her life miserable! Scattered applause broke out at Justin's words. Brother-in-law, I'm sorry. My mom didn't mean any harm. Alex stood up to make excuses. Alec, you're apologizing to the wrong person, and no excuses. If she meant no harm, how could she say something so stupid? Well, my mom is just honest. That's self-proclaimed honesty. Being honest doesn't give you a free pass to slander. Alec was at a loss for words, cut off by Justin. Emmy, can you stop your brother? He's ruining our wedding. My mother-in-law pleaded with me in a pathetic voice. Yeah, Emmy, stop your brother. Don't make it hard for my wife and son. My father-in-law finally spoke, only to piggyback on my mother-in-law's words. They really were two peas in a pod, not thinking they did anything wrong. What are you people? My father finally couldn't stay silent and stood up. After ruining my daughter's wedding, you make it sound like my son is the bad guy. Slander, human rights violations, you must really want to be sued. We're done with family ties, but we'll meet plenty in court. Wait, suing? I just wanted a family where we could speak our minds. Right, Emmy? We could get along, couldn't we? My mother-in-law changed her tune after hearing my father's words, trying to excuse herself in a cloying voice. Her words and attitude were enough to make my anger explode. So, you think it's family-like to unilaterally badmouth your son's wife? To ruin a once-in-a-lifetime event, like a wedding? Well, my mother-in-law was at a loss for words. Glared at by Justin and my father, my in-laws hung their heads in silence. Come on, Emmy. Let's call it quits here. You're making me angry. Alec, completely missing the mood, spoke to me with a defiant attitude. I snorted. He's scared stiff of Justin, but looks down on me? What a loser. What do you mean, stop it? It's ridiculous. I didn't start this, your mom did, and you're blaming me? When I glared at Alec, he looked away. So weak. What did I ever see in this guy? I can't remember anymore. I can't marry you. This wedding is off, I shouted at Alec. Come on, we're in the middle of our wedding. Let's let bygones be bygones. Those aren't words the offender should say to the victim. Ever since I met your mom, I've been thinking we should call off this marriage. I've been too slow to decide. You mean you don't love me? I did love you, which is why I wanted to marry you. I even tried to tolerate your mom. But I realized something. A husband who won't stand up for me at our wedding won't stand up for me ever. When I declared this, a single round of applause echoed in the hushed wedding hall. It was Justin clapping for me. Beatrix, my father, and my mother joined in, and the applause grew louder. Even some of the guests from Alec's side started clapping, probably agreeing that Alec and his parents were out of line. And so the wedding was called off, and divorce discussions began. I hired a lawyer and demanded compensation from Alec for the divorce and a settlement from his mom for defamation. A friend had recorded the whole thing on their phone, so I had solid evidence. Plus, I had as many witnesses as there were guests. There's no way I could lose. I got a hefty settlement from Alec's family, and they paid for the entire wedding. I returned the gifts to my side of the guests, each of whom offered warm words. I've completely cut ties now, but Alec and his parents are in for a tough time. Alec's colleagues and bosses witnessed everything at the wedding, so his work environment must be uncomfortable. Rumors are also spreading about his parents in their neighborhood. I started living alone, feeling a weight lifted off my shoulders. If Justin hadn't stood up for me, I would have somehow finished the wedding and married Alec. I wouldn't be living this peacefully. I should thank Justin for wrecking the wedding.